Shalom Mishpachah, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We are reading today from the book of John, starting at chapter 19. John, chapter 19, verse 1. 1. Then Platus therefore took Yahushua and had him flogged. 2. And the soldiers braided a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put on him a purple robe. 3. And said, Hail, King of the Yehudim, and they struck him with their hands. 4. Platus therefore went forth again and said to them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him. 5. Then came Yahushua forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Platus said to them, Behold the man. 6. When the chief Kohanim, therefore, and officers saw him, they said, Impale him, impale him. Platus said to them, You take him and impale him, for I find no fault in him. 7. The Yehudim answered him, We have the Torah, and by the Torah he ought to die, because he made himself the son of Elohim. 8. When Platus therefore heard that saying, he was more afraid. 9. And went back into the governor's residence and said to Yahushua, Where are you from? But Yahushua gave him no answer. 10. Then said Platus to him, Do you refuse to speak to me? Do you not know that I have the authority to impel you, and also hold the authority to release you? 11. Yahushua answered, You would have no authority at all against me, except it was given to you from above. Therefore, he that handed me to you has the greater sin. 12. And from this point on, Platus sought to release him. But the Yehudim shouted, saying, If you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Whoever makes himself a king speaks against Caesar. 13. When Platus therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahushua forth and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha. 14. And it was the preparation of the protection, mercy, salvation, and Passover. And about the 6th hour, and he said to the Yehudim, Behold your king. 15. But they cried out, Away with him, impale him. Platus said to them, Shall I impale your king? The chief Kohanim answered, We have no king but Caesar. 16. Then he handed him therefore to them to be impaled, and he took Yahushua and led him away. 17. And he, bearing his execution stake, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew language Golgoleth. 18. Where they impaled him, and 2 others with him on either side, 1, and Yahushua in the midst. 19. And Platus wrote a title, and put it on the execution stake, and the writing was, Yahushua, Ha Notzari, We Hamelech, Ha Yehudim. 20. This title was read by many of the Yehudim, for the place where Yahushua was impaled was near to the city, and it was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin. 21. Then said the chief Kohanim of the Yehudim to Platus, Write not the king of the Yehudim, but that he said, I am king of the Yehudim. 22. Platus answered, What I have written, I have written. 23. Then the soldiers, when they had impaled Yahushua, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his tunic. Now the tunic was without seam, woven from the top throughout. 24. They said therefore among themselves, let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be, that the scrolls might be fulfilled, which said, they parted my clothes among them, and for my vesture they did cast lots. These things therefore the soldiers did. 25. Now there stood by the execution stake of Yahushua his mother, and his mother's sister, Miriam, the wife of Cleophas, and Miriam of Magdala. 26. When Yahushua therefore saw his mother, and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he said to his mother, Woman, behold your son. 27. Then said he to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour that disciple took her to his own home. 28. After this, Yahushua, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scrolls might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. 29. Now there was set a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon the hyssop, and put it to his mouth. 30. Then Yahushua therefore had received the vinegar. He said, It is accomplished. Kala. And he bowed his head and gave up his ruach, his spirit. 31. The Yehudim therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the execution stake on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was a high day, besought Platus that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. 32. Then came the soldiers, and broke the legs of the first, and of the next one, which was impaled with him. 33. But when they came to Yahushua, and saw that he was dead already, they did not break his legs. 34. But one of the soldiers, with a spear, pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and mayim, water. 35. And he that saw it bare record, and his record is true, and he knows that he said true, that you might believe. 36. For these things were done, that the scrolls should be fulfilled, and a bone of him shall not be broken. 37. And again another scroll said, They shall look on him whom they pierced. 38. And after this Joseph of Arimathea, Arimathea, being a disciple of Yeshua, but secretly, for fear of the Yehudim, besought Platus that he might take away the body of Yahushua, and Platus gave him leave. He came therefore and took the body of Yahushua. 39. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Yahushua by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pound weight. 40. Then took they the body of Yahushua, and bound it in linen clothes with spices, as the manner of the Yehudim is to bury. 41. Now in the place where he was impaled there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb, wherein was no man had laid. 42. They laid Yahushua there because of the Yehudim, Hebrew people. Preparation day, for the tomb was nearby. So that now brings us to the end of John chapter 19. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in John chapter 19. So the first footnote we have is in verse 5. Then came Yahushua forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Plato said to them, Behold the man. So let's have a look at this. Behold the man. So we have here hinting at Zechariah 6 and 12, like saying, Here is your king, contemptuously. Okay, so let's have a look at Zechariah 6 and 12 quickly. So Zechariah 6 and 12, and it reads, "And speak to him, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh of armies, saying, Behold the man whose name is the branch, and he shall go up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of Yahweh." Okay, so we have a footnote for temple of Yahweh. So let's have a look at that. So it reads here, the millennial temple will be built by Messiah. So anyone should not try to build this now, while it is not yet time. But preparations can be made, and there is nothing wrong with that. Okay? So speak to him, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh of armies, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch. The branch is another name for Messiah. And he shall go up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of Yahweh. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 7. The Yahudim answered him, We have the Torah, and by the Torah he ought to die, because he made himself the son of Elohim. So let's have a look at this, son of Elohim. So they applied the law of blasphemy in the Torah to make him Yahweh. See Leviticus 24:16. So let's have a look at Leviticus 24:16. So Leviticus 24:16, and it reads, And he that blasphemes the name of Yahweh, he shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the foreigner, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemes the name of Yahweh, should be put to death. Okay, so we've got a footnote here. As well the foreigner. So let's have a look at this. So this person who is referenced as the foreigner here is the son of the Yashali woman, and whose father was a Gentile. A distinction is drawn of who is classified chosen. This alludes to Yehudith and the Danite. Okay. So the foreigner, obviously, is counted as Israel, but it's also telling you that he is a Gentile. Okay? Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 13. When Platos therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahshua forth and sat down in the judgment seat, in a place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha. Okay, so let's have a look at this, Gabbatha. So it has here Hebrew and not Aramaic, as Hebrew was the spoken and written language by the Hebrew people. Okay, so Hebrew and not Aramaic. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 16. Then he handed him therefore to them to be impaled, and they took Yahshua and led him away. So let's have a look at this. So led away after 12 p.m. Okay, after 12 p.m. in the afternoon, led away after 12 p.m. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 18. Where they impelled him, and two others with him, on either side one, and Yahshua in the midst. So let's have a look at this, Yahshua in the midst. So they were all impaled on the same tree together, not on separate crosses, as you see in films. It was a tree with a crossbar on it, and not a cross. The cross is a Babylonian symbol, and the word cross was not found in the New Covenant writings prior to the 4th century, as it was a forced word into the text to justify a pagan symbol of Tammuz. Okay, so if you don't know about Tammuz, I suggest you look up Tammuz and you will understand that is where the symbol of the cross came from. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 20. So this title was read by many of the Yahudim, for the place where Yeshua was impaled was near to the city. Okay, let's have a look at this, near to the city. So we have here, note, the mountain of Olives was indeed near the city, but neither in the city, like the church of the set-apart sepulchre, as believed by many, nor the popular site of Gordon's Calvary. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 30. So when Yeshua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is accomplished." Kala. So let's have a look at this word, kala. So the Hebrew is kala, which has the meaning of the word bride. Isaiah 49:18. This does not mean they will become numerical, one in number, but they will remain two, working in unity together, serving the King, completing the family on the earth. Okay, so let me read that again. So the Hebrew is kala, which has the meaning of the word bride. This does not mean they will become numerical, one in number, but they will remain two, working in unity together, serving the King, completing the family on the earth. Okay, so let's have a look at Isaiah 49:18 to get some more understanding. So Isaiah 49:18, and it reads, "Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, says Yahweh, you shall surely clothe you with them all, as with an ointment or ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does." Okay, so we have a footnote here, as a bride does. So let's have a look at this. So we have here, Yahweh is ready to take his northern bride, the house of Israel. Okay, so we know the northern bride is the 10 lost tribes, or the 10 tribes. That's the northern bride. So Yahweh is ready to take his northern bride, the house of Israel. Okay, so the northern bride will return back to Yahweh at some point in the future, if they haven't started already. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 31. The Yahudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the execution stake on the Sabbath day. Okay, so let's have a look at this, on the Sabbath day. So here we have Yeshua was hung on the tree on the afternoon of the 14th at about 2:30 p.m., which is known as the twilight, or between the evenings. Okay, so Yeshua was hung on the tree on the afternoon of the 14th at about 2:30 p.m., which is known as the twilight, or between the evenings. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 32. Then came the soldiers and broke the legs of the first and of the next one, which was impaled with him. Okay, let's have a look at this. Impaled with him. So we have here, notice the soldiers broke the legs of the first robber, then came to the next one. This could only happen if they were on the same tree. If they were hung separately on separate trees or crosses, as they show in films, then while walking, the soldiers would break the legs of the first, then come across the next to Yahshua. But the text says this is not how it was. Okay, so that should give you more understanding that they were not hung on a cross, but were hung on a tree. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 38. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Yahushua. Okay, so we have a footnote here for Arimathea. So let's have a look at this. So the uncle of Yahushua and a very rich man, he had the right to go and get the body of Yahushua to put it in his tomb. Eli was Joseph's father, Miriam's younger brother, the mother of Yahushua. So see footnote Luke 3:23. Eli was one of the richest men in Israel. Joseph sat upon one of the most important seats of the Sanhedrin after his father's death, the seat of the house of King David. Miriam was the daughter of the richest man in Israel, and not a poor woman as depicted, but she was given in marriage to Joseph, the son of Yaakov, in circumstances too lengthy to explain here. After the death of Yahushua's adopted father, Joseph, he was adopted by Joseph of Arimathea as a legal heir. Okay? So that gives you some understanding about Yahushua, that he was adopted by Joseph and also the son of Yaakov. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 40. Then took they the body of Yahushua and bound it in linen clothes with the spices, as the manner of the Yehudim is to bury. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Is to bury. So we have here Joseph and Nicodemus, both his relatives, uncle and grandfather, would be defiled by Yahshua's dead body and would not be able to celebrate the Passover that month. They would have to celebrate it in the next month of Ayar, on the same date as commanded in Numbers 9:11, if you had been defiled. Okay, so let's have a look at Numbers 9:11 and how it relates to being defiled by a dead body. So Numbers 9 and 11. Okay, I'm going to read from 10. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the protection Passover to Yahweh. And 11 reads, the 14th day of the second month, at even, they shall keep it and eat it with matzah, unleavened roti, and bitter herbs. So the 14th day of the second month, at even, they shall keep it Okay, so that's the month after. And eat with matzah, unleavened roti, and bitter herbs. Okay, so we have a footnote for bitter herbs. Let's have a look at that quickly. So Pesach Shani, second Passover, for those who missed it and were defiled. Okay, so this now brings us to the end of John chapter 19. So I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Beaton saying thank you for watching, and Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Whenever be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.